and that would be an ideal date for me. And it worked very well. He'd tell me about the struggles he's having with his baby mama, how he misses his daughter because he wasn't able to see the daughter often. So I'd sympathize with him and be like a shoulder to lean on. Then eventually we started being intimate. So being intimate with him meant on days that I was from work, I'd have to lie to my mom. So I'd call my mom and I'm like, Mom, I can't get a matatu back home. I'll just spend the night at my friend's place. And my mom trusted me. She's like, okay, that's fine. No problem. The whole time that just meant that in the morning I've packed an extra cloth, folded it very well to fit in my bag so that my mom does not notice my bag is larger than usual. Spend at his place, do our stuff, enjoy the night, watch a movie, eat and all. And then in the morning he'd drop me off at work or at school, depending on what was needed. And that worked very well. So 3-4 months into the relationship, issues with the baby mama from his end started rising and rising fast and heavy. We moved from being in our honeymoon to the baby mama texting me in a span of very short time. At that time, she'd text me with entitlement, for lack of a better word, because she knew she was the baby mama and she knew that this man had vowed to marry her. So in her eyes, I was like this bug that is coming to destroy their nice relationship, their nice parenthood that they're doing together. And every time I'd take the story back to Bambi, it would be, no, she's dramatic. She already knows that nothing can happen and the likes. Me being my first time in such a dynamic, I was just like, you know what, it's okay. I'd take his word because he's the one who's here with me and I get to see him every day. So I trusted his word and took it blindly. So even if she'd text me, I'd have no problem because she's texting me and maybe I've spent the night in his house and she's texting me, I spent the night at his house yesterday and I'm like, I was with him during the day. So I was just like, you know what, it's okay. So we had that baby mama issue going for a while, for about 2 months or 3. And then one specific day, it became, I need time. And I'm like, you just can't come to me and ask me for time. What's the time for? It's like there are issues between me and my baby mama. And now she's saying that I'll not be able to see my child. And I asked why. What is it you did? Because she wouldn't just wake up and say that you're not going to see the child. There has to be like a backstory. There has to be something. She's like, no, it's because of you. I'm like, okay, what about me has made your baby mama not allow you to see your child? He goes like, you spend the nights over, you leave your clothes, I don't hide your clothes when they come off, drop the baby. And I'm like, who's we? Who's dropping the child? Like, at times she comes, drops the child and cooks. And I'm like, cooks in your house? I'm like, okay. But initially you told me always go out to get your child from their house. What changed? He goes like, no, there are times I'm busy, so she'll just drop my daughter over before I get home and I'll find she has cooked. Then he'd say she's cooked because, of course, that food will also be eaten by the daughter and she knows I won't have time when I get home. And if you listen to it, you're like, that's like logic sense. So I'm like, okay, no harm done. Because I'm thinking about it, I'm like, he's not home. She came, she dropped the daughter, cooked while he was not home. So nothing could have happened. That was fine. After a while, it got to a point that I would not see him on weekends at all. Why? Because it was time with his daughter. I understood it. I was like, you know what, that's fine. So what got my attention and became a fight was the fact that as much as I could not see him, it means I could not see him, text him or call him. Why? Because he was spending time with the daughter. And I'm like, so while you're doing this, you're not with your phone or what's going on? Why can't you be texted or called? What's the reason? He's like, no, I don't like using my phone when my daughter is around because she might think I'm not giving her quality time and attention. I was like, okay, that's fine. So during the weekends, I'd do my own stuff. I'd just engage myself in my assignments, take more shifts at work just to cover up the time. That became our routine, and I was okay with that. Then eventually it now became, I couldn't now go to his house. I'm like, why? It's like, no, my daughter is going to school and coming back, and she'll be in my house for a while. I'm like, but you said the mom does not allow the daughter to spend more than a weekend in your house. What happened? It's like, no, the dynamics changed. She's gotten busy. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I understood. So with time, the evenings were out. I wouldn't spend at his house. So instead, what he'd do, he'd come see me back kwa gate. So he'd come, call, say like, I'm outside here. So I'd sit somewhere on a stone, chat for hours and hours, and then he'd go back home. And I'd always ask, okay, since your daughter is home, who helps her with homework, who gets her ready, like unwinds her from the day and all? Or is she able to do that? She's like, yeah, she's old enough, she can do that. Then when I come, I'll just cook something light and then call it a night. I was like, that works. Then eventually it moved to, he wouldn't be answering my calls as he used to. So in a day, I'd call like 3-4 times. No answer. I'd call. When I'm free, no answer. And then at journey, after work, it's like, oh, I've been swamped with meetings. I've been moving around with my boss and the like. So I didn't have time on my phone. And I'm like, oh. So you didn't have like 2 minutes out of your day just to text me and tell me that it's a busy day? Because that's what you've been doing. So why the change from the foundation we created on communication? It's like, no, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Yeah, that was a lie. It did, in fact, happen and became a routine. To the point where now, if I called way too many times, he'd block me. So he'd be like, you're really distracting me from work. You're calling way too many times. And I need to concentrate and focus on work. And I'm like, how would I know you're having a busy day? You've not told me. You're not communicating to me. Day 1 has gone. Day 2 is when you're talking to me during the day. And it's a phone call that will last like 10 minutes and you expect me to just be okay with that. So we started having fights. And in the fights, the baby mama also started having fights with me. And then at this time, I'm young and the baby mama is not also of my age. We also have a gap. So I'm like, hata nikiongea vibaya, nothing will happen. You see.
So how old was he? Because you said you were around 20?
I was around 20. He was around 31. So I wasn't bothered. I'd talk back with the baby mama especially because she also would come talking very bad and I'll be like, you know what? Let's play this game. So she talks, I talks. She talks, I talks. That's how it went. So I'm fighting with the baby mama. I'm also fighting with Bumpy. And in my head, I'm just like, you know what? This guy seemed like a very nice guy, someone who understood me, helped out with work. He made my load of life easy. But it's not working out because I can't continuously be begging just to be communicated to and the likes. So with time, I had Bumpy and I still were entertaining other people. But my mind was solely focused and I was always crossing my fingers just for Bumpy to realize that this is what he wanted. So from that specific point, I started continuously begging and begging. So I begged to be communicated to. I begged for him to come see me. I begged him to talk to the baby mama to stop talking to me rudely. But nothing happened. Actually, in fact, instead of him talking to the baby mama to stop talking rudely to me, he'd summon me for talking to the baby mama rudely. And I'm like, wow, didn't she tell you what she said? And I was replying to this. And she's like, it doesn't matter. That's the mother of my child. And I'm like, wow. So are you with the mother of your child because you're way too defensive? Or do you want to move on and be with me? He's like, I am with you. I am dating you. I'm not seeing anybody else. And I'm like, the last time I checked, people who are dating actually communicate vizuri. Like, your communication is work. It literally feels like I'm begging you to communicate with me, which is not what I want, which is not what we were. So, no. And he's like, you know what, that's fine. And he started, it feels like you can't take leadership from a man. And I was like, okay, so I can't take leadership because I'm telling you of the tone we set for this relationship and you are going against the tone. So now I'm telling you about it and now it becomes I'm the one who cannot take leadership from a man. And it was okay. And we broke up for, I think, a month. Then, because we lived in the same area, we bumped into each other, of course. So at this time, we've bumped into each other. I've stopped waitressing. I'm now finished training and now I'm working and then I'm still schooling now. So he didn't know any of it. So when we bumped into each other at home, he asked me, how is waitressing? How is the training? And I'm like, I stopped waitressing. I finished training as well. And now I'm an assistant and I'm schooling. He's like, oh, nice, congratulations. And he's like, actually, I was about to call you. I was like, why? He's like, no, I'm sorry about what I said earlier. And I realized that I was the one who was wrong. And I'm like, okay, that's good. Then I asked, what do you want? You're about to call me. Is that what you wanted to say? He's like, no, I had more, but I want you to come home as I cook for you dinner, and then we can talk more. And I'm like, no, it's late. One, you're telling me about this late, so I need to go home. My mom is home. My mom is waiting. If this is what you wanted, I'm sure you'd have communicated a bit earlier. That was that. We got back together. Things were looking good until one day I decided to check his phone. I checked his phone and I saw way too many things. I saw way too many bodies that I was not supposed to see. I saw way too many conversations that I was not supposed to see. And I did not know it was capable for a man to talk to that many women at a time. My brain could not fathom it. He was talking to the baby mama and other women who he told me were workmates, which, yes, some of them were his trainees. It made no sense. But on asking him, he said that was him looking for his next person, since he thought that we would not work out or we would not rekindle what we had. And I was like, okay, since we have, I want them deleted. And I stood there. I want you to delete every picture, every contact, and every conversation. I want you to start afresh from a clean slate. And he's like, sure. He deleted everything and I saw him delete them. But 2 weeks later, all those conversations were back from where they left off. And he just told his people that he was called in for work to travel. And it was busy and now he's back and they can't pick it off. And they all did very well. No questions asked, no nothing. At that point, things at home with my mom were also very rocky and shaky, and my job was doing well. So what I decided to do is I decided to move. So on this day that I decided to move was not because things were rocky at home. Okay, it was part of the reasons, but the main reason was one day my mom woke up and decided to go to Bumpy's house on her own. In Bumpy's house, my mom met Bumpy's mother as well. So a few weeks prior to that, I was unwell and I was in hospital. But Bumpy had said that he was somewhere working and he could not get to me in time. So I understood, but my mom did not understand because she was like, you're dating somebody who you've told you're in hospital and they could not drop work to come over. It makes no sense. So to her, it was like a red flag. But to me, I was understanding. So on this specific day, the thing that prompted my mom to go to Bumpy's house was the fact that I was out of hospital. I was due for exams, so I needed to go get a student card that would allow me to enter and go back to do my exams. I was still not 100, but I had to do it on that day because that was the deadline. So I went and I had told Bumpy about it and asked Bumpy, would you take me on your way to work? He's like, sure. So on that day, we've left the house with my mom, walking towards the stage. My mom sees me as I enter Bumpy's car remember, Bumpy did not see me in hospital, but suddenly I'm out of hospital and he's shown up. He's suddenly reliable and available. My mom could not fathom. So I've gone. I needed to be back at the house at 1 because I needed to take my medicine. So I went, was back at 1. By the time I'm back, I am calling Bumpy to explain to him how excited I am because I've gotten the card. I've also gone to school. I've confirmed everything. He's not picking up. He knows how excited I was in the morning when we were going. So it wasn't making sense. Why would he not answer my call? That day comes and I'm back home at 1. At 2, the baby mama is on my case, sending me a paragraph. Oh, this man says the way you're trash. He's giving you breadcrumbs and you're accepting it. She goes on and she insults me. You are a hoe. And then at that time I was very, very, very petite. I was literally underweight. So the baby mama is like, you need to go to the gym, work out, focus on getting a body, getting an ass that people can turn and look at. You're here focusing on men that we have built, we have given children to, and you're here thinking that they can't be your man. And I was like, wow, okay. So I'm calling Bumpy endlessly because of what the baby mama has told me. Bumpy did not answer a single call, a single text, a single voice, nothing. In the evening, I'm like, you know what, I'll walk to Bumpy's house. I know by now he's in the house. I go and I knock the door. The mom sees me and goes hysterical.
Did he live with his mother?
They lived in the same compound. From how loud she's talking, and considering she's a very soft-spoken woman, Bumpy came out. Bumpy sees me. Bumpy's like, get out. And I'm like, why? What did I do that was wrong? Like, your mother was here insulting my mother and you have the guts to show up. And I'm like, when? I just left with you in the morning. I was home at 1. I've been calling you since then. When did she have the time to come here? The mom is like, maybe she doesn't know. And I'm like, I look clueless. Of course I don't.
Nje ya mlango. And I'm just wondering, Sophia didn't have any friends to just like advise her. And then I've also learned, and that's why I keep on saying that I don't blame her. Because kama kuna one battle that all of us are supposed to be scared of and pray so hard to God to swipe atana nayo, ni that battle between your brain and heart. Because most of the time, actually not most of the time, kila time, your brain always knows the truth. From the word go, ni venye si tunaignore. Your brain inakwambianga, toka hapo, you're playing with fire, just run away. Huh? Can't you see like this guy is not for you? Your brain always tells you, it always shows you hizo red flags ikiwa red. But your heart is there. Telling you, ebu relax. Asa tuna nataka kurudi soko na venye soko ni chafu. Kwani uni alikubaia smocha? Utapata mtu mwingine wapi akubaia smocha? Where else are you going to find such a guy? Ebu tulia. So me, I don't blame her. Lakini, I pray to God that that kind of love never locate me. And for us ladies, just try and find that one friend who is always going to be there to think for you when you're in love. Because both of us, common sense. Shoop. Inje.
So tunaweza pata namba za MPs, za cabinet secretaries, ya president. Lakini hatuwezi pata namba ya Bumpy. You people want to tell me hatuwezi pata namba ya Bumpy. For the sake of Sophia. Ebu.